Hello, everyone. I'm Charlie, and welcome back to the last DraftKings UCL DFS slate preview of the group stage. 10-game slate on our hands, despite there being, I think, 18 games all at the same time. Frankly, I'm a little disappointed in DraftKings. One, for their decision in not having every game. I think it'd be a lot more fun, be a little bit chaotic, but I just love it just to be so cool to have just whipping around every game mattering instead of just them picking a handful. And secondly, just the contest. I really wish we got a little bit more juiced stuff here, considering it is the last group stage game. There's a ton of games going on. And instead, we just have like just a normal UCL contest structure and size, which just a little sad to see. But we have a lot to get through, so I'm not going to spend too much time ranting on that. And let's just go right into lineup by lineup and likely set pieces. We have a lot of games to get through and teams to talk about. First of all, Aston Villa and Celtic. Set pieces should be Tielemans and probably Bailey in this team. If we see Digne over Matson, I think he's a little bit more likely, but even then it's not certain. Tielemans is the guy who, if you just want guaranteed set pieces, um, he should have something. And then for Celtic, it should be an Engels monopoly, Barcelona and Atalanta, Rafinha mostly, and a little bit of Pedri. Atalanta mostly Lookman, Bayern, Kimmich, and Elise split probably. Slovan Bratislava should be Tolic and Barshagian splitting. Dortmund and Shakhtar. Gross should probably split with Ben Sebaini in this team. Although they do have a new coach with Sahin recently fired, so who really knows what they'll do for sure. Gross should have something though. And then for Shakhtar, it should be Sudakov and Pedrinho probably, or Zubkov if he starts there. Brest and Real Madrid should be Del Castillo in this team. If there's no Del Castillo, it should be Kamori Dumbia. It's usually one or the other. Real Madrid should be a Modric monopoly. If we see like Ceballos, it could be him too. I don't think it'll be if they go with like say another attacker. Is Vinny suspended? No, it won't be Vinny. But if they go with another attacker, and there's like no Modric and like a non-set taking guy, it'll be Rodrigo. Girona and Arsenal should be Sigenkov and Danjuma. And then Arsenal should be Rice and Ethan Nwaneri. Juventus and Benfica. I think it'll be Koopmeiners mostly, maybe Locatelli or Yildiz splits, and then Di Maria and Coach Goop for Benfica. Okay, three more games. Man City and Brugge. De Bruyne and Foden split probably. There's a chance of Savinho or Grealish taking a couple of one-offs though. And then in this team, I think it will be Zolis and De Kuiper splitting for Brugge. PSV should be a Veerman monopoly. Liverpool, they have nothing to play for. It's interesting that they have this as a lineup. I think it'd be a Simicas potential monopoly. I think there's a chance that Chiesa ends up splitting or Gakpo. That's a little less likely. And then Stuttgart PSG should be Stiller and Furyk with Mittelstadt and Mio taking one-offs. And then PSG, I'm seeing no Lee Kang in. Interestingly enough, he'd be the most likely guy. Without him, I think it would be mostly Dembele and potentially Doué or Bitinha taking a couple of one-offs. And that's all of our set pieces. Now, in terms of the prices, and I brushed over odds quickly, but it is the big thing is it's just a Bayern slate. They're minus 5,000. Next year's favorite, Man City, minus 500. That's an astronomical difference. So the clear kind of road in cash here is just going to be stacking Bayern, especially because the pricing is ridiculous once again. Like Real Madrid and Man City are both priced higher than Bayern are, when it makes zero sense for that to be the case. Like Haaland and Mbappe sure are great players, but I'd rather have Harry Kane with a minus 5,000 matchup any day of the week. Like Harry Kane should be your first guy in. It's going to be my most owned guy, even in GVP. Probably it's like minus 600 or something to score, which is absolutely ridiculous. But it's a must win game for Bayern. And like they should just steamroll. The goal totals like even money for like 4.5. Just insane. So yeah, you start Bayern here. You got Mbappe, Holland. is more GPP pivots. Even then, like I'm probably going to have like 90% of my builds just be Bayern stacks 5 different ways. And then maybe like the other 10% for like your one-off potentially of like Hollands and Mbappe's. And of course, there shouldn't be any slot. I don't think he's even with the squad, so don't worry about him. Then he's suspended. Saka's injured. So those are kind of the big forwards. Lewandowski, I just like him even less than Holland and Mbappe. Barcelona aren't even that favorite. I don't think they have anything to play for, I want to say, but I'm not 100% on that. Or at least I think they're guaranteed through. Rafinha, I'd like on any other day, but like I said, this is going to be all about Bayern. Rafinha is probably my favorite non-Bayern piece in terms of these payups. I'd go him over Holland or Mbappe just because he's so solid for floor. He's been like incredible for upside as well. He's like Barcelona's like second leading goal scorer behind Blua, and he's been probably better in the UCL. Like he's been super solid. Like if I could get to him, I would, but I'm going to prioritize Bayern where I can. Rodrigo, if there's no Modric, I'd put him in a similar bracket to Rafinha, probably a little bit worse, but he'd be a little bit more intriguing with sets. Dembele, I think is just a tough slate for him. I don't know how fit he is, first of all. He's been either subbing on or coming off early the last few games after coming back from illness or injury. I'm not sure which it was exactly. If there's a leaking in, it makes him in a little bit of a better spot. But even then, like I said, the answer is always I go a Bayern guy over him. Simple as that. Stane, tempted by, of course, Bayern exposure, minus odds to score, like most of their attackers. Gakpo and Chiesa are kind of cheap, but like I said, it's all just GPP tickets. Like you're gonna spend 90% of your salary on Bayern pieces. Other guys, though, in terms of guys, like I'd be even a little bit tempted by Coleman. This is probably of the most likely cheap attack, the cheapest of the attackers, likely of the Bayern guys. I think I worded that correctly. I think Nabry is cheaper than him, but as we saw, he's not projected to start. He played over the weekend, so I think I likely go Elise, and then probably a bit of a coin flip between Coman or Sane on the other side. Both of them are pretty pricey. I'd like if Coman was in just because he's cheaper. And like I was talking about, where is Gnabry? He'd be just the dream if he starts because he's 5K. I just think it's pretty unlikely though. And then other forwards that I skipped, Yamal at 7K. Once again, just an okay GPP play. Stigankov, I think Arsenal's a tough matchup. Kvaratskhelia, I can get. I think he's might not even be allowed to play is the issue there because he's registered with Napoli. But if they somehow had him in by some miraculous rule change or whatever, I love that. I think there's zero chance. Muller, once again, a guy's just not likely to play, but I'd love if he was in. Savini is pretty cheap at 6K. I could get behind that. Like if you need a cheaper forward, like cheaper than Coman or Sane if he starts, Savini would probably be who I'd go for 6K. Second best matchup, been solid. Like that, that's a tempting Bayern alternative right there. Tell, I think he's on his way out, so I'm not going to think too much about him. Douay, I don't mind for that cheap. Nunez is kind of tempting as well for 5K. But like, if you're not going to go the Bayern right route at double forward just because of salary issues, there definitely are some guys to go down here that I don't mind at all. Anyone else? Vlahovic at 4Ks. Oh, this is the wrong Vlahovic as well. Oh my God. How much is the real Vlahovic? 5,400. I don't think that's that all that terrible either. Anyone else I'm seeing? Sterling, sure. Like there's a couple of cheap forwards here who yeah, like I said, are not bad. So Lisa just thinks a tough matchup, but 3,900, like I don't think that's even that crazy, despite the tough matchup. Furuhashi 3,500 is a dirt cheap forward, is not horrible either. He was super chalk last time out, put the ball in the net like 3 times. All of them were disallowed. That was kind of insane to watch as someone who's sweating against him. But just shows that if he ends up playing, he definitely could get there. I don't know how close he is on his move. He's like rumored to leave is the only thing. So I think he might be already be gone actually. I'm not 100% on that, but we'll see if he starts. Kolo I saw two down there. If he ends up starting, that's not bad for that cheap either. Midfielders. Foden just feels too expensive to me, frankly, but I can see it. Same with Bellingham. Same with De Bruyne. Like these guys are going to be hard to get to because all the Bayern guys are just cheaper. Like Musiala, Elise, I'd go all of these guys over your Man City dudes just at price point and matchup. I think they're great GPP alternatives, like I said, about a lot of these non-Bayern pieces, but it's just easier to go your Musialas, Kimmich's, what I mean, Elise, Kimmich, we didn't even get to yet. But yeah, skipping ahead a little bit, Kimmich at 6,900. This is probably the best mid play on the slate at price, just because he should really be 8K, 9K. He's probably going to drop 15, 24. They're going to have so many corners. He was get what 18 against Feyenoord. I know they had the perfect flow, but I imagine will be similar against Slovan. One goal contribution there. Suddenly he's on 25, 30 points potentially. So yeah, I'm just plugging Kimmich in most of my builds. There are paths though of getting off him if you're looking for a little bit more upside. Like he's not that likely to get a goal contribution. You could maybe go to like Musiala and Olise over him in GPP just to taste a little bit more upside. The hard thing about that is that that's like a 2 to 3K difference in salary between him and those guys. And because of that, you're going to need to find that elsewhere. That becomes a little bit harder to kind of fit together, but it's definitely a viable route for sure. So yeah, I love Elise, love Kimmich. Musiala maybe a little bit less than those guys just because he's so expensive. But you could maybe make an argument for any of those three guys in cash builds. I'll probably start Kimmich Elise myself, but I don't mind trying to jam Musiala over either of them. And they like I then yeah, like I said, I like your De Bruyne's and Foden's a little bit more in GPP. Because it's like I'm so focused on like those three big name midfielders, it makes me hard to kind of consider any of the rest of these guys. Like I think this mid range is going to be just tough to get to. Like Bierman, if Liverpool's gonna have a rotated squad, you could make an argument for jamming him. Like if you're going for a more balanced route, there's paths to get there. Same with Gross at 5,900. Those are who I'd go in the mid range if I'm able to get there. Rice, I don't mind. If there's like no left-footed player who can possibly take sets, it's like a likely monopoly lineup for Rice. Where is the Arsenal game? Who are they playing? Girona. Right here. Like if I'm trying to think if it's Jorginho or something over on Airy, like they could do Trossard left-footed sets, which would be kind of weird since he is a right-footed guy. He's taken a couple with his left. They've not been very effective. I feel like they should just go Rice on everything if it comes down to that. But it just depends if Nwaneri is injured and if Odegaard does this somehow fit again. Anyone else? Like there's Del Castillo. I think it's just a tough matchup. Sudakov, same thing. Szoboszlai potentially. I don't know if he's in the squad either though. So like it's just another guy I'm just not sure of. Liverpool, like are just a scary team to play because they have nothing to play for. You're gonna see early subs to guys who are regularly in the team, likely just because they'll just probably let the kids play as much as possible. And because of that, just not all that into them. Food Mainers, I could see 4,800. The one thing I worry about a little bit is I could see this Juventus Benfica game being very, very dull, 0-0, 1-1 potentially, just because both teams are probably happy squeaking into like the playoffs. I don't think they need a ton more than just a point. I think they're almost guaranteed safety just because not every team is going to leapfrog them that is below them. So that's my worry there. But 4,800 for a potential monopoly set taker, it's not terrible. Any other super cheap mids? Bailey at 4K is not bad if we see no Digne especially. Not seeing a ton else. Zaire Emery, if he's at right back, sure. Jacob Ramsey, another cheap Villa attacker. I don't mind that. Buendia, if he starts, same thing. So yeah, those cheap Villa attackers, I think, are the way to get all the way down here. Everyone else, I'm just not seeing a ton that I'm super interested in. Pedrinho at 3K, sure. I don't think that's that crazy. I don't think anyone else is even going to play down here. So yeah, there's a couple of cheap guys to get to for sure. Defenders. Alexander Arnold, Denier, Middlestat, Hakimi, all been super solid in the past. But once again, like I said, I am prioritizing Bayern where I can. So it makes me happy to punt D if I have to do that. I wouldn't go Guerrero over these pay up defenders like I would for most other positions where it's like Bayern versus like a solid play on a different team. I just think Guerrero doesn't have quite the same upside as those guys. Like he can do it. I'll have exposure of him for sure. But in cash, I'm likely just happy to go Hakimi over him. He's been so solid. He has the upside to match, even though he's got a tougher matchup. This is a must win for PSG. He's a guy who's guaranteed 90 minutes. Just solid. Just always super solid. There's tons of floor, whether that being shots, crosses, tackles, foul draws. He does it all. So that's my one exception to the Bayern rule is Hakimi. Like I go him over Guerrero where I can, but I'd be completely fine if I just can't afford any of those guys and I just go down where possible to like the mid range. I just don't really love like Connor Bradley at 4K, sure. But then yeah, like I said, like I'm playing Hakimi probably and then punt D or double punt D if I have to do that and just avoiding his mid range in cash and even in most of my DPP builds. Some of the cheap defenders I'd be considering though are like Ryerson. How much is Ben Sebaini? 4,300. That's a little expensive, but I could see myself getting there too. But yeah, like Ryerson 3,500, it seems fine to me. I'm trying to look at these sub 3,500 defenders just to see who I end up likely punting. Not a ton here. Ralston if he starts for Celtic. Savona, sure. Calafiori, sure. Timber, I think was there too. Sure. Yeah, right there. Like I'd be happy with a lot of these cheap guys. Their job is just to make the rest of my build easier. And there's plenty of ways to do that with these 3K defenders for sure. Where's that Celtic dude? There's a Celtic defender, like Vela Valley, maybe. Yeah, 2,700. I love that if he was in. That's a cheap defender. I'd go for sure. Attacking fullback. But yeah, like there's a lot of plenty of guys you can go down here for sure. And they're not anyone huge, but they just do the job. I think goalkeepers on a 10 game slate, this is just an absolute punt. Like any of these guys could end up in optimal. Just play whoever you land on, as I always say, and prioritize your outfielders. And in terms of a core, I think I've kind of said it as I've been going down here. I'm going Kane, Kimmich, Elise, and Cash. That's how I'd start. But yeah, like I said, you can make an argument for Musiala over either of those two if you can fit in. And yeah, guys, that'll be it. Good luck, and I'll see you for the next one. Peace.